Let's prepare for the MCAS by reviewing some reading strategies, starting with fiction. To find the theme in fiction reads, we read for the 3 C's, paying attention to characterization, conflict and resolution, and change. The theme is a universal message the author is trying to give the reader. There's a couple pathways to finding theme. Namely, if you're focusing on characterization, you can ask yourself, how has the main character changed? What lesson did they learn? Or if you're using conflict and resolution, ask yourself, how is the conflict resolved? We use 2-column notes to get there. Let's hear or see an example from A Long Walk to Water. Sal is going through the desert. He's struggling. That's a conflict. I put it in my notes. And then his uncle encourages him. That's the resolution. Salva's uncle helps him get through by setting small goals. I ask myself, how was the conflict resolved? And that's the basis for my theme. What's the author want me to know? The theme is setting small goals can help us overcome enormous challenges. I can also use changing characterization as a pathway to find theme. Remember, characterization, we say slate: speech, looks, actions, thoughts, and effects on others. These are the things to look for to track characterization. So, in A Long Walk to Water, after getting through the desert, Salva's uncle tells him, I'm going to leave you at the refugee camp and go back to fight in the war. Salva's upset by that. He says, but uncle, I'll have no one. Who will be my family? He's scared at the thought of being alone. I write that as a characterization note. I capitalize the S in slate because it's Salva's speech giving me that idea. Then, later on, shortly after, Salva's uncle is tragically murdered, and the group now starts to mistreat and disregard Salva. He thinks to himself, the group, they think I'm weak and useless, but then he lifts his head proudly and he says, they're wrong. I will prove it. These are actually thoughts Salva's having to himself. So I find this as a character change. He might have been fearful or afraid to be on his own before, but now he's finding new courage and self-reliance after his uncle's death. I asked myself, how's the character changed? What lesson did they learn? And that guides my theme. Here it is. Tragedy can push us to find inner strength we hadn't realized before. So that's how we can use the 3 C's as a pathway to finding theme. Okay, let's talk nonfiction reading strategies for a moment. We have to build our theme. You know, I like this analogy. You don't build the second floor before you build the first. Likewise, that's how we craft the author's claim when we're reading a nonfiction text. At the beginning of a text, you look at the title, you look for any text features like pictures or blurbs or headings, make a prediction, what do you think it's going to be about, and then read the first paragraph, maybe 2, and write a topic note. You look for big ideas, patterns of ideas. Your note should reflect what the text is about, what's the subject, what's the gist of it. So here's an example from an article we read a little while ago, That's Not Who I Am, calling out and challenging stereotypes of Asian Americans. I see some patterns already, the mention of stereotypes a bunch of times. They say challenging them in the title, so right away I think it might be about how stereotypes are bad. And in fact, my topic note says offensive Asian stereotypes are common and should be recognized. That's what I think the article will be about. Okay? And you don't build the third floor before you build the second. So we keep going through the article looking for main ideas to build our ultimate author's claim note. You would ask yourself how, why questions about the topic note you just got. You continue to look for text features. Any shift words or phrases like however, although, despite this, or but. And you look for patterns of big ideas. If you find them, you write a claim note. Ask yourself as you go, what's the author's opinion on the topic? You build off of that topic. Okay? And as I read, I find some ideas that I track, main ideas. Notice how I don't highlight or underline a lot, just the big ideas. I found one based off paragraph 4 and 5. A big idea about stereotypes connected to the topic. And then I come to my author's claim and note. At the end, I've finished reading, so now I review all my notes. I highlight the most important ideas from my notes, my 2-column notes, and I synthesize those key ideas into one author's claim note at the very end. This should be a 2-sentence summary of the author's opinion. Big ideas, not details. Ask yourself, how can I summarize the author's opinion for someone who has not read this text? You can see right here, you can go back later and pause this and reread the notes here if you want. But you can see basically my notes on the right side, I've highlighted the main ideas, and I've written 2 complete sentences in the bottom box, my author's claim note. Someone who's never read this article could read that note at the very bottom and get the gist for what the author's opinion is, for what that article's main ideas are. Thanks for watching this. If you want any more materials or to look back at this video, you can see it on the English Basics 1-pager.